imagine a life without semiconductors. It's just a little chip, some might think. What could possibly go wrong if we do not have this little object any longer? Well, a lot. Let's just say that the moment this chip is out of our modern lives, it's pretty much lights out for our economies. And for China, this dystopian nightmare is turning into a reality. Due to their role in fabrication of electronic devices, the semiconductors have become the very basis of consumer electronics industries. So, imagine a life without semiconductors. There would be no TVs, no laptops, no computers, no video games, and in fact, no radios. For China, a country that produces a lot of consumer electronic goods but no semiconductors, imports of these chips is indispensable. And the Quad, a group of 4 Indo-Pacific powers, is now ready to hit China where it hurts the most. Hi and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Shubhangi, and in this video, I will tell you how the Quad is planning to deprive China's colossal tech industry by excluding China from the semiconductor supply chain. Let's begin. The Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or what is more commonly known as the Quad, has decided to end China's global domination dreams with a single move: restructuring semiconductor supply chains. This is bound to isolate China's tech industry completely in lack of the crucial electronic component. Quad leaders representing the US, India, Japan, and Australia are set to meet for the Quad summit in Washington next week. They will discuss plans to work towards a safe supply chain for semiconductors, which would imply that the Indo-Pacific alliance formed to check Chinese hegemony will cooperate amongst themselves in the semiconductor industry in a bid to completely eliminate Beijing. Nikkei Asia reported that a draft joint statement suggested that the 4 nations are likely to confirm that quote-unquote resilient, diverse, and secure technology supply chains for hardware, software, and services are crucial for their shared interests. The joint draft statement reflects an attempt by the Quad to tie up technology with democratic values and thereby exclude Chinese authoritarianism. In fact, as per Nikkei, the document stated that the way in which technology is designed, developed, governed, and used should be shaped by our shared democratic values and respect for universal human rights. For China, semiconductors are an indispensable product. The semiconductors are the most essential part of any consumer electronics and technology equipment. They are needed by all Chinese tech sector enterprises, be it a tech major like Huawei Technologies, or be it one of many Chinese cheap smartphone manufacturers. There is absolutely no chance of survival in the tech industry without semiconductors. China is, however, completely dependent on imports for sustaining its inflating semiconductor demand. This is where the Quad becomes crucial. The US and Japan alone account for 30% of the world's chip-making capacity. Chip-making powerhouses like Intel and Qualcomm are based in the US. Moreover, even other chip-making leaders like Taiwan and South Korea are the Quad's friends and China's adversaries. This is exactly why the Quad is trying to link semiconductor supplies with democratic values, as it directly decouples China from countries that manufacture semiconductors. India and Australia do not have a semiconductor manufacturing industry, but India has a colossal IT industry that can absorb semiconductor exports from Japan, the US, and other like-minded countries in order to keep China excluded from the global semiconductor supply chain. So, if the Quad forms an alliance to regulate the semiconductor supply chain, then it is very bad news for China. When it comes to chips, the onslaught against China had started last year itself when the Trump administration announced that it would narrowly and strategically target Huawei's acquisition of semiconductors. Wu Ping, rotating chairman at Huawei's annual analyst conference at that time, had stated, "We will now work hard to figure out how to survive." And that survival is the key word for us now. Later, Trump decided to push the envelope and blacklisted the Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, or the SMIC, China's largest semiconductor manufacturer. The ban on semiconductor supplies to SMIC was bigger than the one imposed on Huawei, as it has left the entire Chinese tech industry impaired. China still remains totally dependent on American semiconductor designs for fulfilling its growing chip demand. In a bid to meet the growing demand, Chinese President Xi Jinping did try to bring in local chip manufacturers and even launched the Star Startup project to make China a chip powerhouse. However, Xi's plans have backfired badly, with local manufacturers dumping fake and refurbished chips. So, how bad is the chip situation in China exactly? Well, very bad. Huawei, which was once at the center of Xi Jinping's global domination dreams, is still struggling to survive. Huawei chairman too has accepted that the telecom major is no longer thinking of global supremacy. He said, "Our aim is to survive." Huawei has limited supplies of state-of-the-art semiconductors. The semiconductor stock will get exhausted next year, after which Huawei's very survival will be at stake. And Huawei is no small company. It is China's biggest smartphone maker. And if it is facing such paucity of semiconductors, you can only imagine how bad would the situation be for smaller telecom equipment makers. The Chinese tech industry is already reeling under the lack of semiconductor supply. And now, the Quad is launching a fresh war in the strategically crucial sector, which might as well be the last nail in the coffin for China's tech domination dreams.